This episode of the Rare Moment Podcast is coming to you sponsored by the Charlotte Podcast Studio. If you are in the Charlotte area, surrounding areas, I don't know what's surrounding. I just moved back here. I don't know. But they're bringing you the best content when it comes to anything podcast related. No matter what you want to talk about, what you want to do, they will get you covered. And if you say Ramon sent you, they might help you out, but that's between me and you, okay? Don't tell nobody. Click the link down below, and the website is right here, charlottepodcast.studio. Come check. Yo, welcome back to another episode of A Rare Moment with Ramon Reed. Yeah! Come on. Hey, as always, I am happy to be here. How can I not be happy to be here? There's somebody who is mourning their family member because they possibly didn't wake up today, but you did. And for that, you got to be grateful. You got to be happy. You have an opportunity to do something better than what you did yesterday, last year. Listen, guys, in the rare universe, the rare moments that we're sharing today, we have some more songbirds. We have some more songbirds coming in, or rather, the songbird. It's only one, and I'm super excited for this conversation. Honestly, that I'm about to get into. I was talking to him before we started recording, and this is the first time I've ever done a virtual interview on the podcast. So this is a huge deal. How is it gonna go? It's gonna go great. We're both great. The team's great. Everybody's great. It's Sunday. How could it not go great? Guys, listen, we have a fantastic musical artist making waves in the indie R&B space. I would say really the soul space. I would really trailblazing a path of his own. And I feel like nowadays we have a lot of people falling into a mold, especially when it comes to music or anything where it involves social media, falling into a mold of what works for others. But he's really doing what works for him, and that's what I admire about him. He also just had his debut album, correct?
Yeah, first project.
Oh my God! First project drop called 7 Minutes. Without further ado, we have my newfound friend, Keoni Usi. Clap it up. Yo. Man, how are you feeling? What's going on? Talk to me.
Doing great, man. I'm just excited to be able to have new experiences, meet new people.
Yeah.
Even doing this is super dope. Like getting to see new perspective and hear about your art and everything you've been doing, super dope. So I'm really grateful for you to having me.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I appreciate it. When when your manager reached out, I was like, shoot, let me check him out. Cause she sent me your website at first. And then I was like, oh my God. Number one, I've never seen an artist with a website. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what y'all doing out there. Get you a website. Mm-hmm. But when I looked at your website, saw how it was curated and crafted, man. And then I went further into like listening to your music. Seeing what you post, on your socials, I was like, we've got to have him on. So I'm glad you made the time to come on.
No, thank you for making the time for me, man. I really do appreciate it. It's super
always, bro. We the way I like to conduct these conversations is what I call them is we gotta go to the beginning. Any good story starts from the beginning. We got to learn the roots. We got to learn where you started, where this inkling for wanting to be a musician, is the only instrument you play the guitar?
I play a couple. Guitar is probably the one I'm most comfortable, but I play like piano, a little bit of bass, and I did trumpet for a little bit as well, like growing up. So like, yeah, I have a little bit of a instrumental background.
Okay. So, like I was saying, I would love to go to the root of where this love and this passion for music started.
Honestly, I didn't grow up wanting to be a crazy musician, mainly because I had a terrible time with following instructions. So, like, music lessons were out of the picture. I couldn't, like, sit still, so I couldn't do choir, couldn't do, like, piano lessons or anything. Everything I had to do was, like, by ear.
Yeah.
I will say, like, my music influence and interest definitely came from, like, my dad. He used to wake us up in the morning instead of like, your dad coming in and being like, yo, wake up. It was like, he just played music super loud to the point where like you had to wake up. And we were listening to like either reggae or it was like old R&B. Like I remember Boys to Men blasting all the time.
Come on now.
like we were listening to some good stuff
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
every morning. So it was like the best way to wake up, and I think you just grow in love with the feeling of music. It wasn't one of those things where it was forced onto me. It was more like, yeah, I'm gonna play whatever and whatever you guys liked, and we'll stick with that. So the beginning was just straight like music was always around, but it was more of our choice to like enjoy it. It wasn't like I had to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love it so much. I wasn't forced to do lessons or anything. Um, it was
Yeah,
more
yeah,
just like if it's there and you love it, just enjoy it. So
yeah. That's, I mean, that's what I tell most people. Like, honestly, most people who really love what they do, it really probably started out as a hobby. Because when
mhm.
you have a hobby, you just enjoy that thing first. It's like, oh yeah, I love making these little Siamese dolls, and then and then you start selling the Siamese dolls on Etsy, and then
Mhm.
before you know it, you're making crazy amounts of money a month.
Yep.
And nobody wants to do something when they're forced to do it. So
Mhm.
I definitely commend your dad for really giving you that space to
Yeah.
to find what it is that you really wanted to do in this life. It was the same way with me and like my mom. I was in a plethora of sports, ran track, football, basketball, soccer, baseball, like did it all. And then one time I did a school play and I was like, yeah, this is it.
Mhm.
you know and then from there, like that sparks a career. I know you said you had trouble like focusing and like sitting still when it came to like things of like piano lessons or music classes and whatnot. Did you struggle in school?
Yeah. So I actually
Yeah,
had like really really bad ADHD,
yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
also grew up. I lived in another place, but I went to school in a city that was like 30 minutes, 25 minutes away from me.
How'd
Uh,
you do that? Ain't that they don't allow that?
it was there's this thing called school of choice in our area, and it was just like
Really?
they only took a certain amount of kids, just
Uh-huh.
like it was like a lottery pick.
Okay.
My parents kind of wanted me in a better area to go
Uh-huh.
to school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I was going to the school, and everybody there was like so proper and so educated, and like they just had it going on. And I was living on another side where people didn't know that I was like not coming from the best ideal living conditions.
Mhm.
So like I would never felt like I fit in. So like I never did good with like teachers. On top of
Mm.
the ADHD, I was just like always causing a ruckus. But I wasn't disrespectful. It was more like I found like little things in the system that I didn't really agree with. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I had decent grades, but I was never like the school's favorite kid, if that makes sense. Um,
Understandable. I mean, you just saying like you felt alienated when it came to the teachers and just the environment that you were in. How did that affect you, as a kid?
I think it made me have to mature a lot quicker. Because I
Mm,
think the hard part too is like, of course, when you're in elementary school, all you want to do is have a whole bunch of friends. I
of
mean,
course.
it gets even worse sometimes in high school, but I think at some point, luckily, like my dad would convince me. He's like, dude, just be yourself.
Mm,
And it allowed me to kind of like focus in more on the things I like. So my personality was very, very strong by the time I was like maybe in second grade. Like I kind of just did only what I wanted to do in school. Um,
really?
which some of my teachers loved. Like they
Uh-huh,
were like, "Oh, he's gonna be successful one day,"
uh-huh.
but like a couple of the teachers would be like, "Probably not in academics, but he's gonna be doing something cool."
Yeah.
Uh, which is like great when it comes to this music thing because now I don't feel like I have to follow the industry. It's like I'll put whatever I think is cool out, and it definitely did help shape my personality and allow me to just be like a lot more sure of what I like and who I want to be. Um, it was a struggle at first, and there, of course, like there are hints of like, oh man, like I wish I was in this group or in that
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
But grand scheme of things, like it always made it easier when I came back home and I was like, oh, end of the day, I'm gonna be me. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, everyone struggles with the feeling of like trying to be part of some group at some point in time.
No, no, most definitely. I feel like well, once. well, at some point you become too old to be dealing with shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, in these adolescent and like young adult formative years of when you're truly discovering who you are and who you are going to decide to be, for the
Mm-hmm.
majority of your life, I think there's definitely difficulty in finding who you want to associate yourself with,
Yeah.
because people need people regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And although you may be confident in who it is that you are, it's very easy to find yourself in a place of loneliness, and find yourself in a place of just yearning that human interaction and that human connection. And then that's how you look up and you're like, wow, I am being someone I'm totally not,
Mm-hmm.
just to have people to talk to who don't even
Yeah.
elevate me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool that you said, you experiencing that alienation of sorts, in your school really made you mature quicker and like become more determined and rooted in who you are. Because a lot of kids, I feel, wouldn't respond to a situation like that in that way. You know, they would. I think, and I've seen it honestly. Like, I think they would conform to like what's around them and be like, okay, let me be like this just so I can be accepted by them. But the fact that you said, um, fuck y'all. I
Yeah.
am I am going to be me, and I'm
Yeah.
going to do what I like. And I mean, even not that you were rebelling against like the school system, but being like, I don't know about that one right
Yeah.
there. Like
Yeah.
that, I mean, that just shows so much tenacity that any creative needs, especially like believing in your art,
Mm-hmm.
when people don't see it because you don't have the numbers or the impact or the sound
Mm-hmm.
that they like, or that attracts the masses. So just believing in who it is that you are and what it is that you're creating is so important. And to see that you were already subconsciously working on that at a young age, it makes so much sense that you're here now, you know?
Yeah. And
Uh
it's a dope experience. I know. I wanted to ask you a question too. I know you said
yeah,
you
yeah,
went from
yeah.
sports to acting.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah,
feel like did you feel like there was a different change in the way people saw you and like having to kind of like shift over from like, oh yeah, I used to be this athlete going into like, oh now I want to be on stage and I want to be doing these things. Like, how did that feel for you?
it felt right.
Mm,
Um I think I was never destined to be an athlete in my lifetime. Although it was fun, you know, when I was younger, it's just that thing. It's really divine when you find that thing that it is that you're, you know, placed on this earth to do, you know.
mm,
And I had always been an entertainer, from day one, hour zero, you know. So when I finally discovered an outlet to let all of that entertainment out, I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm dominating these kids,
hmm.
you know.
That's dope.
Yeah, I mean, and not like it was a competition, but I knew that I had something that they did not. And that's, you know, being a kid, I didn't fully know that this was going to be it, but I was like, this feels right for sure.
Hmm.
And then, you know, I look up today and I wake up and I'm filming movies, I'm doing things, I'm commercials, traveling, press tours and whatnot.
Hmm.
So it's really a blessing just how life can transform in a blink of an eye, you know. So moving in, moving past you being in school and moving into you, becoming more musically inclined and more involved with creating your own music. What was that like for you? Discovering what your sound was, or I'm sure you're still discovering it as well.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I did love music, but I also did not think I was gonna be doing it. So like
Really?
when I was in high school, I also was on like three sports.
Hmm.
Uh, I loved playing soccer. I grew
Yeah.
up playing that. Like that was my sport, and I was like I was so sure that that was gonna be my ticket into college, and I was gonna play college soccer and
Hmm.
graduate, get a diploma, and whatever. Um, but the only reason I kind of really started doing music was my little brother ended up telling me to give it a shot. Um,
Wow.
because I used to like sing in the shower and all that stuff, but I had really bad stage fright. Like I couldn't. As soon as one person was in front of me, I couldn't sing.
Wow.
Um, but grew up sharing a room and all that stuff, and he just hear me in the shower and he's like, "Dude, just try it." So he convinced me to go to this open mic. Um,
Mhm.
And yeah, I was like shaking when I was performing, but I performed one of my own songs, and everybody was
Oh
like,
man.
and that reaction of seeing everyone's face was like, oh, like I can maybe do this. Because I was like writing personal music, so I thought like, oh, no one's gonna get it, and to see like their reaction to it, and
Mhm.
how it like kind of resonated with them, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like maybe this is a thing, and it's still taking some time for me to get comfortable with like the concept of being on stage in front of a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Uh, but it is a beautiful thing, like the small personal interactions I have with music now, and like how it makes people not feel so isolated versus how I felt growing up, is
Mhm.
exactly like my goal. Like I don't want people to feel like that. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, the music discovery kind of just started actually last year. I
Wow.
first started last year in like August. That's
Are
when I
you
picked up the guitar.
serious?
Yeah, I started everything in August.
I did
Song,
not know that.
guitar. Yeah, I'm super fresh to this.
Yeah. Bro, I mean, you're certainly on your way. Like, you even start not even a year ago right now. So you even
Mhm,
starting like honestly a couple months ago and already taking the leaps and bounds to put out not one project but multiple projects, singles. You
mhm.
know, we have things that we are really producing and letting the world see. And that's what I always advocate for, especially when I'm talking to like my other friends who are uberly talented, but they hide behind this sort of artistic, yeah, I don't even know what you call it. Like our artistic analysis paralysis. It's like, oh, hold on, it's not this, it's not that, and I'm like, it's never gonna be that because nobody's listening to it. No one
Mhm.
cares, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm also abrasive in my delivery, but it's always from love. And my
Mhm.
friends really do
You're
be,
correct.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, all this stuff you're talking about right now, it doesn't matter because no one already cares. So you might as
Mhm.
well put something out so somebody
Yep.
can at least be like, oh, I saw that. You know,
Mhm.
they may not care yet, but they saw it.
Yeah.
And it's really all like a gradual build. So the fact that, and let's commend your little brother too. Clap it up for little
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, yeah,
Shout out
yeah.
to my little brother. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
dope.
the fact that he recognized something within you, it really does take a good village around you, a good support
Mhm.
system, and people who really see you, you know,
Yeah.
to be like, this is what you need to be doing, or maybe you should at least give it a shot, and then
Mhm.
that births, you know, so many other things and grows so many other branches for
Yeah.
you in your life. So when it comes to you curating this project that's called Seven Men, which
Mhm.
means 7 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's called Seven Men. Okay. When it comes to you constructing this, was these songs that you have already written years ago, or did you literally? Because I know it says you wrote or you really did the whole project in 3 days. That's what it
Yeah.
says on your website, which
Mhm.
is crazy. How does
Yeah.
that work?
We wrote that. I wrote everything in 3 days. Um,
Wow, wrote and recorded.
wrote, recorded, produced everything in 3 days.
Man,
Yeah. If I'm being completely honest with you, that trip was like a blessing.
yeah,
Everything happened for me right away. So I started in August, and then within 2 weeks, I already had management, and my friend was taking me under his wing, and he's signed to Warner. And
hmm,
like I was getting all these connections and introduced to all these people.
yeah,
But I was so new to it. I was like, I didn't grow up planning to be a musician.
yeah,
Um, so for me, everything hit me all at once. So like I put out my first song, and then 2 weeks later, my management's like, okay, have you written anything else? And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna say no because I don't know how many opportunities I have to pursue music.
come on,
So I just said yes. I was like, yeah, I have a whole project planned. And they're like,
wow,
what's the project? And I was like, like, what is the
yeah,
project? And luckily,
yeah,
I had this concept of it was actually like a series, like an episode. It was more of like a screenwriting. It was more like
mhm,
a script for a short film that I had in mind called Seven
yeah,
Minutes.
yeah, uh-huh,
And the film was broken into 7 episodes. But it wasn't music; it was a film. And
really,
when they asked me if I had a project in mind, I was like, "Shoot, this is the only like cohesive project I have in mind right now that is some type of artistic. It's not music yet, but like I can make it into music."
yeah,
Uh, so once I told them that, they were down and they're like, "Okay, cool. Like, go finish your project."
wow,
Um, made this project with two of my friends in 3 days, and like I got up there and I was like, "Yo, guys, like this is my idea. This is what the short film's supposed to look like. How do we bring that visually into sound? Like, how do we turn that into music?"
yeah,
And we sat in the shed and we just like played music until like it felt like the part of the episodes that I saw.
Wow. Is this
Even
you
like
and your friends you're talking about?
just me and two of my friends.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And like even then, like the song, there's no lyrics on Spotify because a lot of the songs were actually like we would record the instrumental. I'd run it on track, and instead of writing it, I would just say what I felt in the moment,
Yeah.
and then whatever was on track, it's like okay, that's the song, like that's it.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and like yeah, I never was able to really get down to writing it because we didn't have time. We had 3 days to write, produce, and
Yeah.
organize and create this whole project.
Yeah.
So it was like finish the song, move, finish the song, move.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of people probably thought that was like a life works of like accumulating ideas, but it was really just like they gave me the opportunity. Now I got to figure it out. I got 3 days to do it.
Wow.
Got to make this music from scratch, and yeah, that project's what came out from
Yeah.
it.
Bro, I'm not sure if you believe in God, but like what I always say is anything that's divinely destined never comes with force, you know?
Hmm.
Like the fact that you took the leap of faith to be like, yeah, I have a project. And although you didn't have what they were looking for at that time, you knew that you had something that you can transform into that. And then it really just flowed out of you. The art, the words, the melodies, everything that you needed for what was asked of you
Hmm.
just came like that. Even when it comes to you meeting people, having friends who are signed to Warner, meeting a manager and whatnot, like immediately. And you just started a couple months ago, bro. That's
Hmm.
huge.
No,
And that's
the God given stuff is real. Like I
yeah,
do believe in that. Like
yeah.
I think I walked the right path, and everything just happened to be checkpoints.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like it really is just like you being lined up with his will, and like everything can take off immediately.
Hmm.
Like over I truly believe that your life can change overnight. Although people be like, you gotta be working and not, yes, you do have to work, you do have to be aligned with his will. But like after that, I mean, all it takes is for you to go to sleep and wake up and your life is it changed.
Hmm.
Literally.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think just like trusting in your gut and knowing that if you're at least being a decent person,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
work out. Like everything will follow. So,
Yes.
yeah, man, it's been a blessing. It's definitely been a blessing.
Yeah, every time. As far as because you're so new to this and still discovering who you are right now as an artist and who you want to become. As far as what you plan to do in the future, like what are those goals? What are those what do they call them? Like check marks that you want to hit
Mm.
in a way, you know?
I think art is as purposeful as it is like for certain specific moments in your life. So it's like I think music is a passage for me right now to explain the way I feel and the way I see life for the
Yeah.
time being. But I can totally see myself in a couple of years being like, I want to work in film or I want to
Mm,
work in.
yeah.
It just so happens that my skill set right now happens to be in music.
Yeah.
But honestly, like my checkpoints really are just like just do whatever feels right. I don't have anything specific that I like. I need to win a Grammy. I need to win an Oscar. I think more of my checkpoints are actually like making sure I'm doing something purposeful.
Yeah.
And like helping out people that I also have seen there for me at the beginning. So like I have a couple friends that were like helping me with like social media. I have
Yeah.
one of my friends that was signed with Warner that took me under his wing. Like I want to be able to help him with his projects.
Yeah.
Because I'm a writer before anything else.
Mm, hmm.
So it's like if I can write for people's music projects or if I can help somebody with screenwriting or script
Hmm.
writing, like that is my ideal goal. Helping somebody tell their story the best way that they can. Um, those are my checkpoints. It's like I want to be a storyteller um, in any avenue that is.
When
But
you say helping somebody, that's where the success is at too. Like nobody who has achieved uber success hasn't got there without serving someone,
mhm,
and I'm a firm believer in you have to be of service to be valuable,
mhm,
and when people hear that, they automatically think like that makes you less than somebody. But I mean, when you really think about it, that might make you more valuable than the next
mhm,
person, because it's like I am helping you achieve this vision, and in that you are learning skills that you need to achieve your vision.
mhm,
So it's really sort of like a buddy system of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, if you're choosing to
mhm.
right people to work with. In art, whether it's a movie, a TV show, an album, a song, whatever, um, art imitates life. And in order to achieve any authentic art at all, you have to live and you have to put some of that lived experience in your work. So when it
Hmm.
comes to songs that you've released thus far, what are some of the lived experience that you have literally infused into your work?
I think funny enough, like every single song that I made is
Mhm.
referenced off of like something very, very specific. But the way
Yeah,
that I wrote it was to describe it in terms of like love, because love is the most translatable language.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
everybody's like, oh, you can write about your dog, and then you make a song that sounds like a love song, and people are gonna think it's about a partner. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Hmm.
I think like every single song that I have on that 7 minute project is a very specific moment. So like I have a song called "Dad's Older Court."
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
that's
I just listened to it. I listened to the whole album actually right before we got on
appreciate
here.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that song specifically, it's like it's room tone because I wanted to recreate the emotions I felt when I used to sit in my room
Mm.
post high school, COVID years. So like everything got ruined. I'm not going to university anymore, and it's like my siblings lived with my mom. I
Hmm.
live with my dad. My friends just moved out for college. I'm all by myself.
Yeah.
And I was like writing a song about taking note of all the little things to still be happy about, even though everything seems to be moving on for me. And
Yeah.
like that's the very specific situation that song is written about. But I put it in terms of like being okay with life going the way you didn't expect it,
Yeah.
and still finding the niche, beautiful moments in it. So it's like every song has a very niche, specific event that correlates with my life,
Hmm.
but I tried to somehow make it nostalgic and consumable for anyone that listens to it, um, for them to feel their own specific events in their life that resonate with the sound of the song.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, just something that's contrary to that. Why not just put the raw, authentic? Because I love raw, authentic truth.
mhm.
Why not? And not saying that you're not doing this, but why not just solely put your raw, authentic truth and lived experience in it, and be like, I'm not sure if everybody can relate to this, but the people who do hear it will relate to it on such a deeper level. You don't think?
I think the hard part about that is like when I do my live shows, when I
Yeah.
right before I perform the songs, I actually tell them the story,
Mm-hmm.
face to face. But I think
Mm-hmm.
the hard part about what I think about social media is not too much of it is real. So my scary part is like I can give them the most vulnerable story of myself, and somehow somebody can interpret it in a way that paints me in a picture that isn't me.
Mm.
Um, so for me to protect my peace is I can be vulnerable and tell them a very emotional side of myself through song, but I don't have to tell them. I don't have to tell everybody what I've been through. Um,
Absolutely, I agree.
yeah.
But also I think because I've battled with this as well, like with being an actor. I think it's selfish of me
Mm,
to deliver a performance that is my truth through this character, like through this character and his life and his circumstances being the vehicle for me to be authentically me,
hmm.
and then in a way try to uh control how they receive my performance.
Hmm.
I think that's the beauty of creator to consumer. Is
Mm,
like when it comes to art, it's like this is what I meant by it, but you are going to consume it and process it and digest it in a different way.
hmm.
Um, and although yes, like it is your truth, when you put it in form of art, it's going to become someone else's a
Hmm.
truth through their perception.
Yeah.
So as far as that, uh, I guess what I'm getting at is like as far as that, do you feel like you controlling the narrative in a way is beneficial to creating fully authentic art?
Oh, that's hard. I think there's like multiple perspectives that I look at it because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of my projects actually written about my mom that I don't have
Wow.
experiences with,
Mm,
or I don't have a relationship with anymore. And I think like that's another thing when I took into account of making this project.
yeah.
I think my mom still deserves her own her own perspective to be painted in however way she wants. And like the reason I didn't want to write my project specifically about my mom was because I knew that a lot of people would somehow find my stuff and be able to think about, if I wrote it just about my mom, they'd be like, well, his mom must be this type of person. Um, and in complete honesty, even though my mom and I don't have a relationship, I do want her
She's
to
your
be able
mom.
to represent herself. Um, and that's the main reason why I didn't write specifically what the project was about. And I wanted to capture the emotions and the way it felt, but I didn't want to have somebody else out in the world. It could have been a complete stranger that messed up my life.
Mm.
But it's like I didn't want anybody to come from my music and then hate somebody and dislike somebody because of an experience I had with them individually. I still want her to be loved by people. I still want my fans to be able to meet her on the street and be like, oh yeah, wait, like she's actually cool. Even if I don't talk to her, I still want her to have her own character.
You don't
And
think
that's what I'm
that's
scared about with social media. It's like it's so easy for me, like for me to be able to say something about somebody and then people that like me to dislike them. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like that's you don't have to dislike them because I don't like them, you know?
I totally understand that. You don't think that's suffocating your truth though?
Oh, yeah, that's the hard part all the time. It's like
Yeah.
that's why when I perform live, it's very very different. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people perform to a click where it's like they're in their ears, they're hitting checkpoints where it's like
Yeah,
one, two,
yeah,
verse. But like for me, it's I never do that. It's
yeah.
straight like my band. We freely play whatever we're feeling, and then
Yeah.
while I talk about what the story's about, everyone in that room that took their time out of their day to be like to hear the story, that's when I share it with them.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like I think there's levels of people that are invested into your stuff. There's people that will look at your stuff to hate on your stuff. There's
Mm.
the people that will look at your stuff because they genuinely love it, and then there's people that show up because they actually want to hear more of the story. And I think like I save that part of the very specific emotional part of why I wrote the project for
Mhm.
people that come to see me live.
Mhm.
Just because I know those are people that will also kind of see it at the perspective as like, yes, he was hurt, but he's also trying to still protect the image of the person that hurt him. Um, that's just where I'm at now. Like as an artist, the interesting part is like I've only been in it for 8 months, so it's like I know I have so much to learn,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to learn it.
I
But I think right now I'm still trying to figure out like how I digest everything. Even like shows, every time I perform, it feels different. Like one
yeah.
time I'll be like, I don't think this is cut out for me,
Yeah.
and then the next time I'm like, oh, I love this. Like the crowd's digging it. Like even when I have big crowds and they love it, sometimes I'm like, I don't think I can do this. But then
Yeah.
it's just like I'm still figuring out what it means to be an artist for me. Just because I didn't grow up thinking I was gonna be doing it.
Uh,
But it's a beautiful thing.
no, yeah, 1,000%. You like you said, you've been in music for 8 months, and I've literally been acting since I was 9. So I'm at year 11 now, right? And acting and creating and like producing real things. Uh, and there was a time where I was producing and directing my own documentary.
Mm,
Um, and through this documentary, I really had to tackle and battle with just real things that I had been through, in that time period, such as like my mom going through a divorce and whatnot,
mhm,
and not only how I felt about the man that she divorced, but how I felt about her and how she carried herself and and mothered in that time. That she's always been a fantastic mom, but there's plights that I had with her.
mhm,
And I can say this because me and my Dukes have talked about this healthily in many times.
mhm,
Uh, but in that time, I had to make a decision to be like, am am I going to share this with the world and be fully in my truth and how I felt in that moment,
mhm.
or am I going to give them like a little bit, a little? I'm going to give you a little bit. I'm going to media train my way through this, and it's going to be like, hey, sunshine and rainbows at the end, right?
Mhm,
And I chose to keep most of that with that project to myself, which for me, uh, although it may have been good for my mother and I's relationship at that time, like it really weighed on me because I knew like this is how I felt, and how I feel and felt in that moment is important, and it matters because this is
Hmm.
me. I'm not crazy or anything. I know what I saw and I know what I experienced. So you can't invalidate my experience based off of your actions,
Hmm.
especially when I was a child. So I say all of this to say, uh, I get it. I know the rock in a hard place that
Hmm.
is,
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be there. But also I think it's so freeing and scary at the same time to be so truthful through your art,
Hmm.
because I mean, from the way you talk about it, it sounds like you don't have the best relationship with your mom.
Yeah.
There's millions of other people out here who do not have that. And for
Hmm.
you, I think for you to talk about that honestly and package it in a way that sounds so sonically beautiful will really pierce people's hearts. Like
Hmm.
even when we look at fantastic artists like Frank Ocean, who've released songs about their brother dying. He released a song about his brother dying and how it
Hmm.
affects him. Like that pierced the hearts of not only like his community and his followers, but people who didn't know him. So
Hmm.
I think and this is certainly your own journey, your own walk. But
Hmm.
I think trying to reach a space where you can authentically share that, um, and most likely benefit from it. Like
Hmm.
I'm thinking on every time that I really just drop the act and like stop trying to save face or save others, and I just share, not being disrespectful or malicious in any way, but I just shared how I felt and what I experienced.
Hmm.
It always benefited me and the other party in the end. Like, who knows that you releasing this truth, or even I'm not sure if you guys are in connection, or just sending her this melodic truth could possibly open up an avenue for you guys to have a conversation about whatever it is
Yeah.
that you all have been through.
Yeah, no,
um
I think you're right, bro. I actually
yeah.
want to ask you how much trial and error, how long did it take you to kind of recognize, like, how long did you go before you were like, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna actually say everything, you know? Because I know, like, I'm only in it for 8 months, and I think it's quite a journey where I'm learning things
Yeah.
as I go. But after hearing you say it as well, it's like there's definitely parts of the story and the way that I grew up that I want to share. I
Yeah.
just, if you deal with the rock and hard place, it's like, do I do it now? Do I do it later? Do I protect myself? Do I protect the other
um
person?
we don't have later.
Mhm.
We only have now. We can assume we have later, though.
Mhm.
We hope we have later. But as far is how it went for me, it really was a process, because at the end of the day, no matter what, this is your mom, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what it's always gonna come back to. Like, I know what I've been through, but damn, this is my mom, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what I kept saying to myself. But I also had to realize that I was at an age now where the power dynamic had shifted. And now, like, yes, you are my mom, but also you are a person,
Mhm.
first. So it takes changing in the aperture, honestly, on how you see the situation, and being like, regardless, I do love you and I do care for you, but I have to talk to the person that you are.
Mhm.
So my mom's name is Rosalind. So it took for me to reach a place where, number one, like, I had enough balls to be
Mhm.
like, let me stop talking to my mom and actually talk to Rosalind and tell her how I really felt, and the turmoil that I really went through on my own, and why I made the decisions I made,
Mhm.
and you cannot always expect for that openness and that willingness to be reciprocated. But the fact of the matter is, it's not for them, it's for you.
Yeah.
Because you two are walking your own path. So it took, and I've always been extremely close with my mom, my best friend. I'm going to her house right after this. So
Mhm.
it's like, it really took, a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of time. I had to quite literally sit on my mom's bed and watch her cry. Although it looked insane. Me and my mom laugh about it now, but it looked insane at the time. But that's what was needed for me to get my point across,
Mhm.
Like, I understand you're hurting, but you gotta see me.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta stop seeing me as your son for this moment. You gotta see me as the person who was affected
Mhm.
and hurt and went through this turmoil, you know. So it's not an easy process because once
Hmm.
again, that's my mom, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a needed process
Hmm.
for you to be really free and really gain that experience of what it's like to deal with something difficult like that, and have those conversations. And then it's like from those conversations you get more music you can create, honestly,
Yep.
you know. And
Hmm.
and that's the beauty about being a creator. It's like every day that we live, every interaction that we have is fueling the next thing that we produce, you know.
Hmm.
um so yeah, so to wrap it up and summarize it, like it's not easy, and it's not quick, uh uh and you may not want to do it, and that's okay. You don't have to do it until you want to, you know.
Hmm.
You have that choice, but in my personal experience I will say it's very important to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's noted. Like I for sure somewhere down the line, I think that's why my goals with music aren't very specific as like certain checkpoints I have to hit other than do the right thing and do what
yeah,
feels right. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
do
yeah,
have that in the back of my mind at some point. I do want to be able to just like completely lay out everything on the table. Um, I
yeah,
think like because I'm so new and it was like 8 months, within the first month of me doing music, they sent me to do this project. I
yeah.
definitely now listening to it, I love it and I love the concept. But it's like even listening to it now, it's like, oh, if I was able to redo it, there are things I would have done. But I mean, as an artist, you just have to progress and keep growing. So
For sure, and,
yeah,
and
like,
that's the beauty of it. It's your first project. Like
mhm.
whatever your second project is that you release, like we'll get to see that metamorphosis and that elevation for you as a musical artist and as a creative. And that's what I love about following people's journeys, which I am now a supporter for sure.
Thank you, thank
Um, I want to, before we wrap up, when I was listening to 7 Minutes, my favorite song on there, like I really love soul, neo soul,
you. Hmm.
jazz, and the song I felt personally that gave me that soul the most, like, hold on, he really singing about something. It's DATT.
Mm,
Yeah, like
yeah.
just give me a little bit of the story and the lore behind that song.
So DATT is a song I dedicated to my uncle that passed away, my dad's
Yeah,
brother.
yeah,
Um, he died from overdose on
yeah,
drugs, but he's been battling drug addiction for years.
yeah,
And it was a difficult thing because everybody knew it, but and everyone tried to help him. Like they'd house him, they'd do
mm,
whatever they could, but no matter what they did, got him clean for a little while, he always went back to it.
yeah,
And sadly enough, the only time he looked comfortable or happy was when he was on drugs,
mm,
uh, which to me is something similar to like love. It's like
mm,
love can be blinding and hurtful,
yeah,
but it's one of the most addicting feelings. It's like
yeah,
one of the hardest things to combat. So it's like I talk about alcoholism in relation to the concept of love. It's like being drunk all the time
yeah,
when certain people are around, but you don't drink. You're just
yeah,
drunk off of love.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was about my uncle and how I saw my dad deal with the things before, during, and after his death. Um,
yeah,
and how love is a harmful thing in some ways if handled the incorrect way. Uh,
absolutely.
and yeah, I mean, you you listen to that song, you probably don't know that backstory, which is like I should have maybe done a little bit better on communicating that, but that's why there is so much soul behind it because when I did record it and when I wrote it, that was actually the only song I had done
Mm,
uh, before I went there. So when I went up to do that project, that was kind of something that I added in there,
yeah,
knowing that I had that song written in the notebook already.
yeah,
Uh, so now that I think about it, I had one song done and it was that one. So like when we recorded the project, we were piecing everything together, and then by the time we got to a certain point, I was like, I need to record this really quick.
yeah.
And we actually have a video of that song was recorded one take. Um, my friends just like they told me to go in the corner, gave me the guitar, turned on the room mic, and then just said, "Go
Wow.
ahead, play whatever." And I just recorded it once, and like I have a video of my friends because I'm facing the wall singing it to myself
Yeah.
when I recorded it,
Mm,
and they're behind me on the computer
yeah.
recording it, and then there's a video of their face when I finished, and they're just like, "Holy shit!" Like
Yeah. That's it.
That's crazy. Like that's the one. Like
Yeah.
they ended it and they just start clapping and they're like, that's it. Like we're not doing any more takes. Um,
Yeah.
so like that song is just straight up. It's soulful because I'm dedicating it to somebody that meant a lot to me. And it was like all in that moment. All the magic is in that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's DATT.
Man, I think that's beautiful. I'm quite good at recognizing like real emotion in any form of art. And as soon
mhm.
as it came on, I was like, yeah, this is the one. And like literally, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is it. This is something deep here. Even when you say in the song like drunk all the time, you did hint towards like not being drunk off of alcohol in the song though.
hmm
I can't remember the lyrics specifically, but man, fantastic work on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, Keoni, I really believe that you are fantastic. I believe you have so much more art, so much more success waiting on you, so much more elevation on the way, even to see where you are right now. Bro, like I just can't wait to see like where you go, what
Thank
you
you.
do, the people you meet, you know, the stages that you're able to grace.
Mhm.
So keep going, and you have hella stories within you. So I encourage you to work on being and sharing authentically, you know, what those stories are
Mhm.
through your music, yo. Uh,
I
before we,
appreciate. No, I seriously appreciate you, man. Like,
yeah, for
thank you for
real,
taking the time so early on in my career, like having conversations like this. I do a
yeah,
lot of interviews where it's really just like what's out next, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where do you want to perform? And I don't even think we talked about that today. It was more of like
No,
the deep stuff, which I really appreciate, dude. Like I
yeah,
appreciate that.
it's I always love to discuss the real stuff, like how because I know the process of getting the art.
hmm
Like I'm in it. I do it, you know. So like what I love to venture into what other people's processes are like. How do you come up with this? What's that machine within you, and what's the levels that you have to go through and traverse through, honestly,
hmm
to get to DATT, you know?
hmm
Um, so to know those stories is an honor that you're even willing to share. Like I really do
Thank you,
appreciate it. Yeah, before we get up out of here, let them know where they can follow you.
dude. My Instagram, all my platforms are the same. Just Keoni Usi.
Yeah,
Pretty cohesive along all projects and stuff. And we actually
fantastic.
have another project coming out. Uh, I'm I wrote a whole another 14 songs.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, we have another thing coming out, another
Do you have a
story
date
coming.
for it?
Not a release date yet. I think
Okay.
my management are working that out. However, all the songs will be done and recorded by June. So within the summer, we're just gonna start dropping stuff out of nowhere. Um,
Shoot,
um,
cool.
yeah. So we'll love to
Man.
even get your input when that comes out too, because I really do appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, bro, please. I'm gonna oh well shoot, we're still recording. I'll let you know once we wrap up.
Yeah.
Y'all, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for tuning in. Once again, before you leave, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, rate, and share. Send this to your grandma, your uncle, your cousin, your brother, your sister, whoever. Let them know their favorite cousin, brother, uncle is on the screen and they need to watch. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.